And I think that's the skill that we bring to these kind of things, or that we should be bringing to it as the physical therapy profession, is knowing when to do what, how to do these things, and then also teach the clients, hey, here are 2 or 3 scenarios. These are the things that you should be going to in each of these scenarios. Hey guys, welcome to Towel Talk. This is podcast number 3 or something. We're also filming these out of order, so we don't know where we're at. But Andrew's with me again. He's stretching right now, so we'll have him pop up real quick if you can. Don't pull a hamstring while you're coming up.
What's up, guys?
And that's consequently our topic today. We're going to start with talking about some stretching. Get it.
So the one question that I get a lot of times actually from folks is, should they stretch before exercising? Should I be doing my stretches before exercise, after, during? When should I do it? Most of the time, folks are under the impression like, I feel tight, so I want to stretch before. Right. And I try to tell them, well, if you're doing like these long kind of static stretches before you exercise, then you're actually telling the muscle to do the opposite of what you want it to do, which is you want it to be mobile, you want it to be strong, you want it to be pretty efficient at contracting. But if you go and you just do like a prolonged stretch for 30 seconds to a minute or something like that, you're pretty much telling the muscle, calm down, take it easy, take a break. Yeah. Let's go sit down somewhere and then jump into exercise, which is not wise, I don't think.
Nope.
And then I'll talk to people that are like doing a lot of running and they're like, yeah, but my calves are like super tight. My hamstrings are super tight. I really feel like I need to, they're just so tight. And so in those cases, I'll still say, well, we really don't want to just stretch it out and tell it to shut down. You want to do some type of active warm-up. You maybe can do some dynamic stretching, you know. You could, if you can tolerate it, do ballistic stretching. But doing something more to get your body primed versus telling your body it's sleepy time.
Because static stretching, you're essentially activating those stretch receptors which turn off muscle function. That's the whole point, is we don't want to tear through this muscle, so as we stretch, tells the muscle, time to turn off, we've done enough. That feedback loop kicks in. So like you said, we don't want to use that as the warm-up for many things. In certain instances, hey, we want to shut a muscle off, we want some relaxation, contract, relax techniques, things of that nature. Absolutely. Now we're using it for its actual intended purpose. Understanding that kind of physiology is important when we're addressing it, chatting with clients about that as well, so they can understand it. Hey, yeah, your track coach tells you stretch your hamstring before you get out there and sprint your 100. Probably not the best bet for you. And if you look at most of those kind of trainings now, it's dynamic warm-ups. It's all kinds of more functional, like you mentioned the word primed. It's priming the nervous system, priming your muscular system, getting your blood flow activated. You see Phelps was slapping his muscles. You see these swimmers slapping their muscles to drive that blood flow and that nervous system kind of upregulation to the muscles to say, hey, it's time to go. Wake up, it's go time. It's not sleepy time right now. So it's an interesting world of how much warm-ups and stretching versus static stretching, ballistic, dynamic has changed. Back in the day, it was always cross your legs, bounce up and down. That's what we did for all of elementary school. Then you get to middle school and it's something else. You get to high school, it's something else.
Reach down, touch your toes, do all that stuff. But as far as like just warm-ups, I guess, what are some, I guess, go-to warm-up drills that you like to use for folks? So in an alternative to stretching, what are some that you like to give people?
I mean, again, I often opt for something that's priming their bodies. There's a lot of good evidence, good body of research to say activating your whole system is important before any kind of exercise. So doing a dynamic warm up if that's where they're at in their kind of rehab process or their performance process. If they're injured and can't, okay, let's find a way to warm you up. If it's a lower body injury, okay, let's get you on some sort of arm, ergometer, or let's get you on an elliptical and we're just doing the arms, something like that, or a rower and we're just doing the arms and you got your leg off to the side. There's lots of ways to kind of activate. Core work is important as well. So
Yeah.
typically there's some sort of, we always joke about it, hips and core are the basis of everything. So starting with hips and core frequently for getting athletes of any caliber warmed up is kind of where I go to right off the bat.
Proximal stability for distal mobility.
There you go. Absolutely. And again, it depends on what we're doing in that session too. Are we trying to peak perform? We're doing 1 rep max. That warm-up's going to look a lot different than, hey, today we're doing plyometric box jumps and agility ladders and things like that. That warm-up's going to look different. So I think it's very important to recognize, just like you want the client to understand why you're giving them exercises and what it's for, to also understand why you're prescribing certain warm-ups. Don't do the dynamic warm-up if all you're going to do is kind of a core yoga kind of functional mobility session.
Yeah.
Because then you don't need that dynamic warm-up. That's not the point of the session. It is more relaxation, open up the joints, things like that. So, that's, again, that gray area that we live in is there's no one thing that I drive everyone to.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all for it.
I think that's the skill that we bring to these kind of things, or that we should be bringing to it as the physical therapy profession, is knowing when to do what, how to do these things, and then also teach the clients, hey, here are 2 or 3 scenarios. These are the things that you should be going to in each of these scenarios.
Yeah.
So, so they're prepped and ready to go. They don't set themselves up for an injury while they're training or while they're recovering from something else.
Yeah. I know that one thing I like to use is that RAMP kind of acronym. So raising the heart rate, activating the muscle, mobilizing, and then potentiating. And so just, get your heart rate up. So like you were saying before, are we doing the rower? Are we doing the elliptical? Are we doing something to get your heart rate up? Activating, you mentioned, depending on what we're trying to do that day. If we're doing core and hip work, then I might have someone do like some band work for the hips, try to get those muscles activated, mobilizing the area. Do the hips feel really stiff if we're doing hip work? Do we need to do some mobility drills? Do we need to do some shin box drill?
Frog stretch,
do we need to do
like
Frogger stretches, but not just sitting there and holding it for 30 seconds. Like, I'm gonna have you kind of moving in and out of that.
Move through your range of motion.
I might have you grab a weight and try to do some assistance with the weight too. Maybe we get a TheraBand on your hip and we're doing it that way.
Right.
And then potentiation, you mentioned the 1 rep max. We're gonna do a lot of back squats before we hit your 1 rep max probably. You're gonna do a back squat with just the bar. You're gonna do, 25%. 35, 45, 50, 75, 80 before we get up to that 1 RM. We're not just going to go, all right, do 1 warm-up set, and then we're slapping on your 1 rep max. And
10 quick squats, and here we go.
Yeah, so I really like that RAMP acronym, because it just makes it easier to remember for folks. It's like, okay, I remember I need to raise my heart rate, activate the muscles, so I'm doing leg stuff today, so do some light little leg stuff, activate those muscles, mobilize them, make sure I feel, mobile in the hips, the knees, my ankles feel mobile. And then whatever it is that I'm doing that day, do a couple of practice reps of that.
Right.
Just so then that way you've really told you've told your body, all right, wake up. This is what we're gonna do.
Yep.
These are the areas we're gonna use.
Yeah.
Now get after it, versus just getting in there cold, which I was talking to a buddy about that today. I've been helping him with his workout programs, and I'm like, dude, you gotta get some type of warm up in. And he was telling me the difference is like night and day.
Yeah.
He's like, I used to try to just go get the sauna really quick, warm my body up, do a little bit of this and then
Right.
get going and just
Shake it out
start
real
at
fast
the
and gone.
start with the warm-up sets. And I'm like, yeah, but you missed the other 3 parts of the warm-up, you
Right.
know? So really getting that good warm-up in and not just doing a static hold
Right.
before you do your exercises, folks. But after exercise,
Yeah. Again, calming the system down now. Again,
yeah,
getting that parasympathetic system to kick and go, okay, now it's time to rest. Now it's time to relax. Bring everything back down to the baseline so you're not at that elevated stress level where you're constantly active and engaged with everything. Absolutely. And I think you said it best too with you're missing all this stuff behind the scenes as well. If you're coming into a warm up after sitting all day at a desk for 8 hours, or have you been sitting on your feet for 8 hours before you're doing this workout? Those are going to look like 2 different workouts. They inherently need to be 2 different things. The person sitting has certain areas that are locked up and not mobile. The person that's standing all day has other things that are locked up and not mobile. So kind of chatting with people about, okay, what are you doing leading up to these activities?
yeah,
Are you going from completely static to now completely mobile? Okay, what do we need to do from there? Versus, hey, you've been active all day and you're still trying to do activity here? Okay, let's maybe bring you down a notch. You've been activated all day long. We need to bring you down so then we can get you back to functional baseline. So you're not completely tense and tight and kind of overactivated, if you will, coming into that situation. So there's so many other factors that play into what that warm up, whether it's stretching, whether it's dynamic warm up, whether it's functional mobility, like you said, with bands or other augmented, kind of mobility work, to set clients up for success. So definitely not a quick, easy, here's your 5 warm-ups, go ahead.
Yeah.
See you later.
And that's the thing too, is I think sometimes folks will get, so I remember I was working with someone, very gun-ho, like love working with this guy too. Really, really fun guy to work with, but he would get kind of like, he'd have like a library of like his warm-ups. Andrew, I don't know which ones to do, how many to do. It's like I have all these mobility drills, I have all this, I have this, I have this. And I have to go, okay, well, what are you trying to do that day? Okay, based on what you're trying to do that day, do the movements that are the most similar to that. Like, you don't have to spend 45 minutes warming up. Because then at that point, like, now it's, okay, well, I got to get home. You got other responsibilities. You can't be at the gym for 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I get it, because that's the pushback I'll get from folks is, I didn't have time. I didn't have time. I didn't have time. I didn't have time. I'm just like, it doesn't take that long. If you warm up appropriately, 5-10 minutes, like it really doesn't need to take a long time. Now, you made a good point of like everyone being a little different in what they're doing throughout the day. I'm one of those folks, I take forever to warm up. I can't help it. I need 30 minutes. Like if I'm at the gym and I'm hitting it hard, I don't feel warm sometimes until after my second workout. And I've done a warm up, I've done mobility stuff. I was on the treadmill, and it's still, man, I still don't feel quite warm. Then my second lift is like a good lift.
That's the lift that counts, right?
So then I start going, okay, well, instead of it being my first lift, which is usually the one that is, this is what I came to do today. If I'm doing back squats, that's the first one. I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go on back squats. I might not do back squats first. I might do one of my accessories. Just don't kill myself over there. And then I'm like, okay, now I actually do feel warm.
Ready to go. Yeah.
But everyone's a little different in that sense. And I try to ask folks, I'm like, what do you do in those situations? I mean, you work with a lot of athletes too. So like, do you notice some folks just, I take a lot longer to warm up. They're saying that to you, you're noticing it. And then like, what are you doing with them,
Yeah, so I mean, we see both sides of it, right? We see younger athletes that can recover quicker, that bounce back quicker from stuff, that warm up quicker. They don't necessarily need all the time. They should take some time, but they don't necessarily need as long. Versus, the stories about Adrian Peterson and how early he got to the practice facility to warm up before practicing games. He was there 2-3 hours before anyone else after his injury to make sure that by the time he was ready and warm, that's when practice actually started. So it kind of, again, depends. Like, I'm out of shape. My warm-up is going to look a lot different than your warm-up. Sometimes I'm gassed by my warm-up. I'm like, that was my workout. That dynamic warm-up kicked my butt. Like, I'm good to go. Time to head home, you know? So it really, again, comes down to client-specific, what's going on with them. Are they in a rehab process? Are they in a performance process?
Yeah.
You know, what are we working on today? And something interesting that we just kind of chatted about with one of the academies we work with is they were talking about giving the kids a wellness questionnaire before they came in.
Okay.
So adjusting and augmenting their warm-ups and their actual workout routines based on how they respond to this wellness questionnaire. And it's talking about hydration, sleep, diet, just their overall well-being. How do you feel today? You know, they're open-ended questions of, do you feel good? Do you not feel, you know, it's very much, how do you feel today? How did you sleep last night?
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel like your day is going? How do you feel like your day went yesterday? And then based on that, then the teachers and the coaches talk and go, hey, these 2 kids, we're doing mobility work, easy stuff. We're not going to load them. They're not in a good place right now.
Yeah.
You know, just as a human, this is not the day to push them, you know, versus, hey, these 5 kids, optimal. Everything's looking good. They're feeling great. Time to load them. So it's kind of an interesting, again, going back to that psychology piece of, hey, we need to change things not just based on physical characteristics, but also all of this other kind of stuff that's happening, emotional, psychological, socioeconomic, things that typically weren't brought into the equation. And if you're in a normal clinic, a lot of times still aren't brought into the equation, you know? They don't have the time. Oh, you're back again. You're my knee patient. Okay, bike. Okay, now squats. Okay, now lunges. Okay, now calf raises.
Yeah.
Okay, now heat and stim or ice and stim, you know? There's no further kind of discussion of what should be happening. Or it's not even the PT that's doing it. It's a tech or an aide that's, okay, here's their 10 exercises. All right, same routine. You know it? Okay, cool. Sign off. That patient now could have done it, could not have done it. They're out the door. So it's nice having that flexibility to now start incorporating some of this stuff and looking at these big picture things of, hey, we really need to do individualized. And we start chatting with our clients like, hey, sometimes they walk in, I'm like, oh, we're going to do cardio today. And like, I just ran, I'm gassed, like I feel like I pulled a hamstring, you know, got into a fight with my mom on the way here. Okay, cool. Cancel that plan. Let's do mobility, TLC. Sometimes I joke, all right, therapeutic nap. Today's a therapeutic nap day. We're all gonna go. You're gonna go into that room. I'm gonna go into this room. We're taking a nap.
We're all gonna
today,
take a
you know?
nap.
Like, and some of them are like if that's what you need today, then let's do it. Like that's we need to listen to your body. Like if that's where you're geared towards, especially some of the younger kiddos now that are burning the candle 6-7 days a week, in school, multiple trainings a day, multiple games each weekend. When they come in here and they're
half asleep
doing this, and then they still have to drive home. We're like, okay, today's not the day to push you. TLC, get you back to kind of a baseline. You need some coffee before you go home. Like, what do we need to do to make sure? Drop the business line of text that you get home. Like, we need to make sure you're safe. You know? So it's all that needs to play a part in that stuff.
It needs to be the whole person, right? It's not the knee person,
right?
The shoulder person.
Yes.
It's like, no, they're a person.
They're a person. There's the rest of the body's still attached to that joint or that muscle, or you know.
I was telling someone today, I'm like, because they were going, oh no, I'm fine. I said, it's 100% okay with you to not be fine. That is 100% okay. And I'm not going to treat you differently or judge you because of that. You're going through rehab. Of course it's not fine. Like you're
allowed to be
hurts.
grumpy or frustrated or
like,
sad.
You're going through an injury. Like, it's okay to be. And she's like, that's. And I'm like, it's fine. I was like, that's why we're doing all this. It's like to help you out. But like, I'm not saying be grouchy all the time about it. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But it's okay to give yourself that space. And so that's good that they're doing the wellness questionnaires. I think that's good. I hope that the kiddos are also able to really see the value in that and like understand what they're trying to do.
What it's bringing to the
table. Because sometimes I think just depending on your age, sometimes you just don't really know. You know, like you're,
Yeah.
well, but if I say that, then like, are they going to show it to coach? Is coach not going to let me
Right.
play? You know,
There's all
and
this other
so
secondary.
There's just like all this stuff that's involved, but I think it's great that they're doing that. But yeah, for all of you out there, stretching after exercise, not before exercise. So if you're at PT or working with someone and they go, okay, we're gonna get you started, we're gonna do some stretches at the beginning, and they're gonna sit there and stretch you out for 10 minutes and then say, okay, let's now go and do exercise, I would just ask them why they decided to do that first and not at the end. So just a little food for thought for y'all listening. Next time you're at PT or working with a trainer or something, maybe ask, hey, why did you stretch me out in the beginning and not at the end of the session?
Yeah.
Just
I talk to all my clients to say, ask as many questions as you want. I should be able to answer all of them, or I should be able to tell you, hey, let me go find an answer to that because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right? That's also important. That's a question I don't know much about. Let me refer you to the right person, or let me go look at my resources. We have the World Wide Web in our phones. Like, there's no reason I need to be making something up to answer your question. I absolutely do that all the time. Like, I don't know much. Can I look that up? Or I don't know what medication that is, or I don't know what you're talking about. Let's go research it real quick. But yeah, ask questions, and I also tell my patients, throw red flags at me, kind of, or the yellow flag, like on a football field, like flag on the play. Hey, this is not adding up to my brain. Can you explain more, or can we talk about why this decision making is happening?
Yeah.
Or why are we not changing things if we're doing the same thing over and over again? I hear it all the time. Oh, I went to the last PT for 3 years and it was the best, and for the same thing. Yeah, that's a problem. Like, if you were doing the same thing over and over again. I went to my chiro for the last 10 years. He was the best. You sure? Oh, I love this surgeon. I'm on my 15th surgery. What? Like, what? No, that's not
happening.
So I tell them, I'm like, if we haven't made changes in 2 to 4 weeks, throw the red flag. There's something wrong. We're missing something. We're not on the right track. The decision making is off, whether it's on my part or the client's part or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely understand why you're doing things, and if the PT can't explain it, there's a problem.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Cool. Thanks for sticking with us again. Again, as usual, we don't know when the next one will drop. We don't know how long it'll be. We don't know what the topic is, but we will definitely be back. So thanks again.